Hello YouTube, what's going on? Today we have a great video on Endfield, as you can see that we've been playing for a while now, from our boy Plus Minus. Obviously his link is going to be in the description regarding it, but it's more or less talking about the back and forth that we constantly get regarding the gacha. Because the gacha side of things always has people split. Whether it's a good system, whether it's a bad system, if the 120 is a good hard pity that doesn't carry over, even though soft pity does carry over, and infinite 50-50 loss syndrome can actually be possible, technically speaking, in this game. So, I've said my piece on this. I know a lot of people have, but let's listen to the boy, because I would assume Plus has analytically gone into this with numbers and we can kind of get a better idea. So if you do like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And please go over to Plus and his channel and like the video as well as subscribe to him too. I see 47 dislikes and 1k likes, which to be fair is a kind of insane ratio, I will say that. So without further ado, boys, we're locking in and we are seeing if our boy is right or insanely wrong.
Hey fellow netizens, Plus here. The industry standard for a gacha system has been solidified by hoyoverse ever since they launched Genshin Impact.
True.
It was simply a matter of time until someone dared to step forth with the banner of innovation. There has been a strong debate amongst the gachaverse regarding the fairness of the gacha system in Arknights Endfield.
I agree. Everyone is so crazy split on this. When I first saw it, thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Now that I've seen it more and thought about it more, I'm very split. And here's my opinion. We're not going to know if it's good or not until 1.1. Until we know the amount of pulls per patches, we don't know if this is a good system or not. Because in theory, it's fucking phenomenal, but it comes down to the company and how much they're willing to give to the goddamn players. And you can quote base Arknights all you want. This is not base Arknights. This is Endfield, right? People are calling it Endfield, not Arknights Endfield. Keep that in mind. So, my opinion remains to be seen, but let's look at it more from an analytical lens in terms of the percentages and more data on it.
But before we continue, I'd like to remind you that the content presented here is still in its beta phase, which is still subjected to change.
Exactly.
But please do not change the gacha animation. It encourages me to fight for democracy, to end the fields. The banner system...
It legitimately is like a Helldivers drop-in, isn't it? Like, oh, man.
Really begged the question if Hypergriff designed it based on a grand marketing strategy or just wanted to auto-filter all the tourists, leaving the gatekeepers unemployed.
Okay, tourists. Guys, you with me? You with me with this one? You tourists? My boys, we will take down these gatekeepers, okay? Whether or not they're trying to piss in our Cheerios or whatever it may be. They need to understand not everything is perfect about this game, and analytically speaking, maybe they can improve on it, right?
What sets Arknights Endfield apart from the rest of the industry is that it has 3 different character rarities instead of 2, which means it can perfectly separate the weapons and character into 2 different categories,
which is very good.
Machines. The rates to put a 5-star operator is 8%, while the rates to put a 6-star operator is 0.8%.
Which a lot of people who come from base Arknights are not familiar with this. This 0.8% is regular. If anything, it's actually higher. There are some games out there, from my understanding, impacts at 0.6%, like Genshin Impact. This is the standard. People are kind of mad it's not that base 2% from the original game, but you got to understand with a game that costs this much money, the recoup costs are way different. You have to kind of have a level of disconnect to make that money back. So this is normal. People shouldn't be freaking out about this number, okay? Along with the 80 pity and that kind of stuff.
1 5-star.
I'm going mad low, I mean it's depressing. Exactly, right? But like, especially this game in particular, these are base numbers. They're not good, they're not bad. They're slightly above average, if we don't look that far into it. They're kind of par though, if you do exclude Genshin, because Honkai and Wu are the same system. They're still 0.8s on 80 pity.
Operator is guaranteed in every 10 pulls. If you have pulled 65 times into a banner, every next pull is going to increase your rate of pulling a 6-star operator by
65 soft pity. Yep,
allowing
65 soft
you
pity.
to get a guaranteed 6-star operator on the 18th pull.
Exactly.
If you were to pull a 6-star operator, there's a 50% chance that they might spook you.
And this is the problem people are getting scared of, because the 50-50 doesn't have a hard pity guarantee. So if you lose 50-50, which I'm sure Plus will mention, you don't win the next 50-50. It is, again, another 50-50. It doesn't turn into a 100% guarantee. So statistically speaking, inside 120 pulls, if you hit 3 6-stars and get insanely lucky, there's actually a chance to lose all 3 coin flips, and you don't have the limited character yet. Which is crazy. Personally, the added most operators standard pool, like, aka, just feel like the guarantees on carrying over is reasonable. Again, we won't know until the game comes out. Remains to be seen.
So far so good. Anyone in the gacha sphere, including the tourists, would comprehend. But here's the jumper.
Yep.
There's no guaranteed rate up after losing the 50-50 roll.
Which is terrifying.
The true guaranteed rate up appears on the 120th pull, and your pulling history won't be carried into future banners.
Exactly. So this is the thing people are hopping on about, which divides the community like you wouldn't fucking believe. So you can look at it from the aspect of 120 pulls guarantees the character no matter what, which if you do factor in hard pity and 50-50 loss on the other games, it's 180 pulls. It is 60 pulls better, but only the soft pity carries over. So your 80 pulls, your 80 attempt guarantee, your 6-star operators guarantees can carry over to this banner. That carries over. So if you're on 79 pulls and you pull on the next banner after the banner changes, it's a guaranteed 6-star, but the 120 attempts go down from whatever you were on back all the way up to 20. So that's a problem.
Which means for the next banner, you will have to start again from 0.
Exactly.
This sentence single-handedly rallied the majority of the tourists, which is understandable, since it is different from the industry standard, and people fear what is different. In Arknights, the guaranteed pull is at 150, and for limited events, it is 300. So in short, the Endfield Gacha system is really nothing but a better Arknights banner for veterans like you and me, while being fundamentally different in comparison to Gacha systems from hoyoverse games and Wuthering Waves. But let's have a comparison for both types of banners from the worst case scenario. Let's say you want to pull for a character in both Endfield and Genshin. You are the most unlucky and unblessed person on Earth, which results in losing the 50-50, so you have to roll 180 times to get the character you wanted. In Endfield, the same thing happens, and you end up rolling 120 times. Now let's talk about pulling in the long run. Because let's be honest, if you are playing a gacha game, you are probably in it for years of suffering and incremental dopamine hits. Now, in the case of industry standard, the carryover system is good. If you get unlucky in one of the banner, you can always leverage that pity into the future banners.
Which can't be done in Arknights. And I don't know if I like it or not. As I said, it comes down to how many pulls we get in 1.1, because 1.0 is not going to be able to do that, right? 1.0 is not going to tell us what pulls we are and aren't going to get because it's 1.0 of a game. There's so many pulls in that, right? From 1.1 onwards will give us a good idea, okay? You never someone got you have setbacks. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like that 120 reset's going to be super interesting to see how it folds out on 1.1 release.
It's a nice safety net on the surface. It comes at the cost of potentially stretching your resources further. In plain terms, it is a system designed to make us keep rolling despite knowing we don't need to. Endfield, on the other hand, plays by different rules. Each banner is
it tells you to use your brain.
Fresh start, which terrifies me since I fail at the start of the new year every single year. But we have to keep in mind that you are guaranteed after 120 pulls, which is a lot less in comparison with the worst case scenario of 180 pulls. Over time, this difference adds up. If you are playing for years, the difference would get bigger. As long as you know who you want to invest into, and make sure to get those operators. Not to mention the sets with the standard gacha system, which means it is gonna be a new gamble that could end up in another 180 pulls. But maybe I'm wrong and we just love to gamble. Next we have to talk about the weapon banner that Lowlight has cooked in his backyard.
So I want to quickly mention something before he goes on to the weapon banner, because the weapon banner I believe is phenomenal and the best in gacha to a degree, with the pity being a bit of the problem in it. So my thing with the character banners, right, that we're pulling on here, my issue is what happens when a 5-star comes out, right? What happens when a 5-star that you really like comes out, okay? Because that's the question that we kind of have. If a 5-star comes out that's brand new to the game and you don't want the 6-star, but they're the rate up on the new banner, that's where this system kind of fucks you. Because if you do choose to pull on it and you want to get the 5-star, you're killing that 120 guarantee because it's going to reset next patch anyway once you get as many potentials of that 5-star that you want / may need. So that's the shortcoming of this type of banner, and it remains to be seen how brutal that's going to actually be. You can buy the weapon. You can pseudo buy the weapon, yes.
We just love to gamble. Next we have to talk about the weapon banner that Lowlight has cooked in his backyard. The weapon banner is another piece of innovation. It is a hybrid of banner shop and weapon banner powered by Arsenal certs. You can get this currency by, you guessed it, help fighting for democracy. This is the best way to compensate for the trauma caused by all the weapon banners combined in the history of gacha games. The chance of getting the raid up weapon is 25%.
Which is typically lower than what we are used to, I will say that. And the pity does kind of suck, but at least there's no hard weapon banner that you have to divide your currency between. I think that's the saving grace of this type of banner. Web's not really a problem because you get 15 rolls per week without rolling and it's 4%. In the beta it is. You got to also understand how the trickle-on effect and the roll-on effect really works in a game like this, the longer you play and how much you save and everything like that. A lot of it is subject to change, and admittedly right now, this weapon banner is received pretty negatively, right? Because it's a 25% to appear on a 6-star, and it's a 4% for the 6-star to drop. So you have a 4% hit of the 6-star to drop, and then you have a 1 in 4, right? A 1 in 4 chance to actually get that. And you have to fail it 3 times for the 4th to be guaranteed. So you can see how this is problematic to a lot of people, okay? You can say everyone faster everyone temples. Yeah, but this is the exact same as every other game, dude. That's like saying you guarantee a 4-star in a honkai or Genshin every temples. It's not the same. It's just they tier up their characters, and that's a non-argument in and of itself.
Which I have to say, it really puts the term raid up with the crown of irony. But before you rage quit on this information, let's take a closer look into this weapon banner. Weapon banners have always been the stuff of nightmares for free-to-play players, and the perfect excuse for whales to spend their 5-digit monthly salary on. But I'm here to debate that Arknights Endfield's weapon banner proves the opposite. Not because it—
How are you gonna sell me on this, Plus? Because I'm very split on the weapon banner, but I'm pretty happy and convinced on the character banner.
is flawless, but because it is better than most of its competitors. First off, let's start with the base rates, because that is where the magic happens.
Because they're better.
In Endfield, the base rate for pulling any 6-star weapon is 4%. Sounds small, right? But hang on, compare that to Genshin Impact's 0.7%, and suddenly Endfield looks like the benevolent overlord of RNG.
It really is that
now,
good.
Let's talk about getting the raid up weapon you actually want.
Yeah, this is the problem that I run into personally. This is the problem I run into with the fact that it's a 25% instead of 50-50 with a guarantee.
The 25%.
You can say I'm not sold on this. I just told you why I'm not sold on it. It's the fact that it's a 25-75 and you can lose it 3 times with a 4 times guaranteed.
Chance of
just hear it out more.
Then the overall probability of pulling the weapon you want is 4% times 25%, which equals 1% per pull. In Genshin, the base rate for pulling a 5-star weapon is 0.7%.
In a
50-50.
Oh, 75 now.
Chance to get
Wait, they changed that? Oh, was it? Wait, 75. Anyway.
One of the 2 raid ups. That means your chance of pulling the specific raid up weapon you want is actually 0.2625%.
100% agree.
Without considering any pity systems, Enfield's raid up weapon chance is almost 4 times higher than Genshin, and we're not even done yet. Let's factor in the pity system. Enfield guarantees a 6-star weapon on 80 pulls, which is already better than Genshin's 80 to 90 pulls.
Very true. I'll elaborate once Plus goes further in.
For pity. And even without hitting pity, the higher base rate means you will naturally pull more 6-star weapons over time. Not to mention how Endfield starts with an overall wide variety of 6-star weapons from the get-go, and the fact that you gain the arsenal certs simply by pulling in any banner. It is almost as if the 6-star weapons are given.
So you also get like so just base rate, statistically speaking, every temple you get around 1,000 of these merits, right? You will get 9 4-stars, 1 5-star worst case. You're probably going to get more than that, so it does sell more. Every 30 pulls is a temple on the weapon banner, okay? But that's somewhat of the problem, because it's 80 pull max pity, and if you are the unluckiest son of a bitch in the world, e.g. me, right? Or anyone who really has a bad run, you need 320 pulls to guarantee that weapon versus the traditional 180, right? I do understand it is technically a free currency. I do get that, but just having that scenario as a possibility, I don't like it. I don't like how potentially bad that can be if you're just simply unlucky, right? Because it's double the regular output, which you know, it's scary to sound like. Just from earshot, I don't know.
For free. That is unless you want to max out a specific weapon.
I'm
afraid that you might have to relive the Staff of Homeless once again, while overmaxing your operators.
You guarantee Ace said he messed up a bit.
Is that this gacha system could be the big—
Wait, did he? Did he actually just like make it a little bit of a transition? Can someone beat this? Okay, let me just quickly go into the game myself and just verify, because I'm going off Plus's numbers on the weapon banner, and again, if it's wrong, I have misinterpreted or he missaid it. Either way, let's just find out. So we go into here, we check details, 25% to appear, 4% drop rate, which we know, and every 4 issue attempts, so it is 40 pulls, okay? So it is 40 pulls, so it's going to be 12,000 of this stuff, e.g. 120 pulls of regular stuff to guarantee the weapon. Okay, so that's nowhere near as bad. That's actually inherently better numbers. I will say sorry, that's my bad. I apologize, I'm just going off the numbers that were in front of me, okay? I cocked up. Sorry about it, guys. It is inherently better and a lower number. I thought it was 320 by the base numbers, so sorry. Sorry, actually, you know what? I'm not sorry. Cancel plus, guys. Cancel plus. He didn't put a disclaimer. To be honest, TBH, it's kind of a him issue, right? No, I kid. But yeah, let's get back into it.
Just make or break, and it all hinges at the hand of Hypergriff. To be more exact, it all depends on how generous the game will be. Aside from that, there are still some factors we don't know, which might change our perception of Arknights'
which is the
gacha system by a lot.
Generosity
in
never patch.
In Arknights that new raid-up operators get added into the standard banner when the raid-up banner is over.
And this is something I would love to happen in this new game, but I just don't know if they do it. Does it not sound too good to be true if they added something like this? Right? Especially in the game and the type of game it is, like, unless they add true limiteds, like the W's, like the Neons of the world, like, if they did that, then of course they would do this system, but I don't know if they would, man, especially in an open world like this. It'll be interesting. It will happen. Well, you can't say will. Okay, you just can't say will. You can't say guaranteed because it's not confirmed. Okay, let's chill on that. Okay, all because in the first game doesn't mean it's in the second. It means there's a high chance in the second game they could probably do it. But we've got to still be grounded in the world of what is true and what we know right now versus what is hypothesis and theory. Okay, what happened at some point? You guys are saying guarantees. Your sources trust me, bro, because it happened in the first game. That is not the same system. Okay, let's stop doing this. But yeah, I hope they add this, but I'm cautiously optimistic they do. If they don't add it, it's whatever. It'd be such a great system if they did, though.
Which begs the question if that will be the case for Endfield as well. Another aspect is the implementation of limited operator and how their banner system could look like.
Yep.
I do hope that we will be blessed by the power of all in Arknights Endfield. That being said, I will be back to beta testing. Here are my channel members. Please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for future Endfield content.
Thank you, plus, my guy. Please go like the video now. So as I said, the end banner of someone being added into the full banner after the release is a fucking awesome thing to have in base Arknights, but again, we don't know what's in the new game. And I want you to stop assuming. Okay, that's how all the problems always happen. Okay, that's what I won't say that. But inherently, this gacha system is better. You just need self-control. And I imagine the only issue you're gonna have, which I mentioned earlier, is when they add into the game new 5-stars you want to pull, because you're gonna essentially send your 5-stars, or you'll send your pulls into oblivion, because you're not gonna be able to work down and get that 120 guarantee if you don't want the 6-star and you only want the 5-star. So there are pros and cons to this for sure. Having no weapon banner is fucking stellar, right? But yeah, having limiters in the game, and if they do end up going from limited banner, or quote-unquote limited featured headhunting banner, if you want to call it that, into base banner, then we have nothing to really worry about. We really don't. It's like, it's legitimate possibilities that they don't, as I said, but you know, even if they don't, it just means we've got to pick our battles and pull accordingly, okay? So for you Genshin fans, and for you Honkai fans, not so much War fans, that game's pretty generous with the pulls. You can get away with, you know, not spending for a long time on that game. Just, you know, just make sure you budget your pulls, okay? And as I said, this is completely a contingency of thinking it's a good banner on release or 1.1 when we learn how many pulls per patch on average we get, okay? 1.0 won't apply to that because 1.0 is not going to tell us how many pulls because it's going to be a whole new world and there's inherently a shitload of pulls in the base game. 1.1 is going to give us that kind of information. So it's all subject to change. We'll find out when the game comes out, but it is a good system if you just use your brain a little bit. Sure, there's concerns, but they are grounded in the, you know, in the world of reality that we can kind of fix them. So if you did like this video, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you did. And yeah, check us out on Twitch or YouTube whenever we're live streaming. Might even be right now. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye now.